Chapter 1, The Gentle Drift of Galaxies. Chapter Body. You close your eyes, and in the stillness, you imagine space. Not a room with walls. Not a black sheet dotted with stars. But a boundless, gentle ocean where everything floats, softly, slowly, without rush. Out there, beyond what your eyes can hold, galaxies slip away from each other. They move not with panic or speed, but with a quiet certainty. Like petals released onto a pond surface, carried outward by ripples too vast to see. They drift further apart not because they choose to, but because something silent beneath them is pushing space itself wider, like a slow breath filling invisible lungs. Your body lies still, but your mind floats now beside those galaxies. You picture them, swirling islands of stars, wrapped in clouds of dust and mystery. Each one holds billions of suns, and yet from this distance, they seem small, fragile, weightless. They glide across the great expanse, following paths no human hand could chart, obeying laws older than light itself. This is not chaos. This is not collision. This is drift. Gentle, ceaseless, inevitable drift. Long ago, people thought the universe was fixed in place. Eternal. Unmoving. Like a painting hung on the wall of time. But slowly, through the patient gaze of telescopes and the quiet logic of numbers, we learn something humbler, something stranger. Space itself is stretching. Like dough rising. Like fabric being pulled at every edge at once. And because space stretches, everything within it must drift apart. You imagine holding a balloon, inflating it slowly. Tiny dots drawn on its surface move further from one another, not because they are running, but because the space between them is growing. Galaxies are those dots. You are watching the balloon of the universe inflate with every moment that passes. But why? What hand turns the pump? What breath fills this balloon? Scientists call it dark energy. Not because it is evil. Not because it is shadowy. But because it is unknown. Dark, simply meaning hidden, unseen. An energy that fills space quietly, evenly, without flicker or flame. It does not roar. It does not burn. It only expands. Gently. Everywhere. All at once. You wonder, how can something so quiet move something so vast? How can something you cannot touch hold such power? But this, too, is part of the wonder. The universe is filled with forces you cannot see but live inside every day. Gravity, pulling you softly toward the earth beneath your bed. Magnetism, steering needles across maps. And now, dark energy, pulling the very threads of space wider, guiding galaxies apart with hands made only of silence. You imagine yourself drifting now, weightless between two galaxies. One behind you, one ahead. They both move slowly away, as though carried on unseen tides. Their light grows fainter, not because they burn less brightly, but because the space between you stretches wider. The light must work harder to cross the growing gap, and so it thins, softens, fades. You wonder if one day, far from now, those galaxies will be gone from view entirely. Their light too stretched, too tired to reach us anymore. The night sky then would grow quieter, emptier. Stars pulling away into darkness, leaving fewer signs behind. But for now, you are still here, watching the slow dance unfold. You realize something gentle but profound: you are part of this movement too. Your body, your home, your planet, all drifting outward within the great unfolding. You do not feel it. You cannot measure it by breath or heartbeat. But it happens, silently, beneath you, around you, within you. The expansion touches everything, even your quiet thoughts floating now in the dark. In this cosmic drift, there is no center. No edge. No end in sight. Every direction leads outward. Every corner of space feels this soft, relentless stretch. The galaxies move, but they are not traveling through space, space itself carries them, expanding between their fingertips like silk drawn slowly across a table. And so you drift with them, peacefully, weightlessly. The night inside you feels as wide as the night outside. Somewhere, billions of light years away, another being might look up at their sky and see the same slow retreat. They too would wonder, what is this force that pulls everything apart so gently, so patiently? Are we moving towards something, or only away? You let these questions hang softly, unanswered, like lanterns floating above calm water. Not everything must be known tonight. Not everything must be held in the hand to be understood. You float on this quiet thought, the edges of sleep brushing against you like soft waves. Space expands. Galaxies drift. You, too, are carried forward. Out there, beyond what you can see, the empty spaces grow. And within those empty spaces, something waits. A hum beneath the silence. A force beneath the nothing. Tomorrow, you will drift deeper into this question: how does emptiness itself become a force? Chapter 2, The space between things is not empty. You drift now between the galaxies, where space stretches vast and silent. But as you float deeper into the darkness, something soft begins to stir in your thoughts, a question blooming quietly: is this emptiness truly empty? At first glance, it feels like nothingness. No stars nearby, no planets, no clouds of dust. Only endless dark stretching in every direction. A void without shape. A space between the things that matter. But the longer you hover here, the more you begin to sense something subtle beneath the silence. Something invisible holding this emptiness together. Not with hands or walls, but with fields, gentle, humming fields that cradle reality like a net beneath water. Physicists call this the quantum field, a shimmering fabric spread across all space, even the loneliest corners where no light dares to travel. It is not made of particles, but it gives rise to them. Like wind shaping waves on the surface of a calm sea, this field ripples quietly beneath all things, unseen but ever present. You imagine it now, an ocean beneath the floorboards of reality, hidden beneath your floating self. Every atom, every photon, every flicker of light rises from this ocean like bubbles rising from depths beyond sight. Even where there is nothing, this field remains. Whispering. Moving. Breathing energy into silence. Emptiness, it turns out, is never truly empty. If you could shrink yourself down. Smaller than atoms, smaller than the dust inside atoms, you would find yourself inside this restless sea of possibility. Virtual particles pop in and out of being here, like tiny thoughts appearing and vanishing before they are fully formed. They live for moments so brief they cannot be caught, but their presence leaves fingerprints behind. They give space its shape. Its weight. Its quiet hum beneath silence. These are not ghosts. They are not fantasy. They are the background music of existence, humming softly beneath the louder song of stars and planets. And so you float, wrapped not in nothingness, but in fields older than time's first breath. These fields link every corner of the cosmos, stretching without end. They do not light up the sky, but without them, there would be no sky at all. Imagine again that balloon from before. Its surface grows because space itself grows, but the balloon's skin is woven from these fields. Invisible. Unbreakable. Expanding softly beneath the weight of galaxies and dreams. Scientists have names for these invisible threads: Higgs field, electromagnetic field, gravitational field. Each one humming with its own quiet purpose. Each one shaping reality in ways your body cannot feel, but your mind can almost hear if you listen closely enough. The space between things is not empty. It is alive with possibility, trembling with unseen forces that give birth to all matter and motion. Without these fields, atoms would not cling together. Light would not move. Time itself might unravel like thread slipping from a spool. Even now, as you drift through this imagined darkness, these fields touch you. They hold your body to earth as you sleep. They guide the moon around its silent path. They keep your heart beating in rhythm with laws written long before life began. You realize something gentle but grand: you are not separate from this space. You are part of it. Your atoms vibrate in tune with these ancient fields. Your thoughts arise from the same quantum sea that gives birth to stars. You belong to this silent architecture as much as the galaxies you watched drifting moments ago. There is no true emptiness. Only places where presence hides deeper. Somewhere, beyond even this quiet moment, scientists imagine there may be other fields yet undiscovered. Other forces shaping realities we cannot yet name. The universe may hold secrets folded inside these invisible layers, waiting for minds to listen softly enough to hear them unfold. But for tonight, it is enough to know this. Where you thought there was nothing, there is something. Where you thought the void was vacant, it is humming. Where you thought yourself alone in space, you are embraced by unseen arms stretching across infinity. You float on this thought, feeling the stillness beneath you is not so still after all. The space between things is full. Full of whispers, full of possibilities, full of the unseen energy that makes existence possible. The darkness around you breathes. The emptiness beneath you hums. And somewhere within this quiet sea of fields, a question begins to form. If empty space is not truly empty, then what does it mean for the shape of reality itself? Chapter 3: The shape of space is not what you think. You drift onward, deeper into the stillness where galaxies seem like scattered seeds across a dark field. But something about this darkness begins to change. Not its color, not its silence, but its shape. At first, it feels like you are moving in a straight line. Outward. Forward. Beyond. But slowly, softly, you begin to sense a subtle curve beneath you, around you. A quiet bending that reshapes how far truly feels. Space, it turns out, is not flat. Not truly. Not perfectly. Imagine a sheet stretched wide, a smooth cloth pulled tight across a frame. Place a weight in its center, and the cloth dips. A marble rolled near will spiral inward, caught by the curve. This is how planets move, how moons are held close, how light itself bends around the sun's invisible hands. What you drift through now is no different, only vaster, gentler, grand beyond measure. Space bends beneath mass. It warps quietly beneath gravity's touch. Even where you cannot see it, the shape of space responds, curving, stretching, folding softly like fabric cradling the weight of all things. Einstein once dreamed this idea into words: space-time. A marriage of space and time into a single, living fabric that shapes the dance of planets, the birth of stars, the path your drifting body now follows. You are not moving through empty space like a ship through still water. You are moving across valleys and hills too wide to see, across invisible slopes where gravity leans and light curves. The straightest line is not always straight. Sometimes it is the softest possible curve through the bending heart of space itself. Even now, light from distant stars arcs across this curvature to reach your eyes. Their glow is not a direct line but a path shaped gently by the mass as it passes, a path softened by the quiet warping of the cosmos beneath it. The Earth beneath your sleeping body moves through this curved space too, orbiting not in a flat circle, but following the smooth depression carved by the sun's mass into the fabric of spacetime. Gravity is not a force pulling down, it is the natural path through a bent landscape. You fall because space tells you how. Look again at the galaxies you passed before. They seem scattered, yes, but each one rests within its own dimple of curved space, held there by its mass, its stars, its invisible matter shaping the unseen hills and valleys beneath it. The universe is not flat. It ripples with unseen topography, like fabric held beneath weight. And as space bends, so too does time. Where gravity gathers strongest, time itself slows, stretching like honey under its influence. In the hearts of galaxies, near black holes, even moments unfold differently. You are floating now not only through space but through time stretched thin and wide, thick and slow. Every second you feel might unfold differently elsewhere in this grand, curved sea. Imagine yourself walking across a sphere, thinking the surface beneath you is flat because it feels that way. Only from afar would you see the curve, the truth of the shape you travel. So too with space. What feels straight bends gently beneath you, and your path weaves through an architecture far grander than your senses alone can hold. Even the universe itself may curve upon itself, some scientists whisper. It may be closed like the surface of a sphere, looping endlessly. Or open, like a saddle, stretching forever without ever closing in. Or flat in ways that still contain unseen depths. Shapes beyond imagining hold the cosmos together. Shapes you cannot touch, but you can move through. Shapes that define not just distance, but possibility. And so you drift, not through straight lines, but through soft arcs written by gravity's invisible pen. Through valleys of space and folds of time. Through a geometry far more tender than sharp-edged math could suggest. You feel it now, not with your body, but with your mind unfolding slowly like a pedal toward sleep. Space is not a flat map. It is a living surface, a breathing curve, a quiet bend beneath everything that moves. You have always lived upon this curve. You have always slept upon it, dreamed within its folds, carried through the night by its gentle, invisible arms. What else might lie hidden in the shape of things? What corners of this bending space might reveal truths we have not yet begun to see? These questions drift softly beside you. As you move toward the next wonder. How does something invisible shape something as vast as reality itself? Chapter 4, The Weight of Nothing at All. You drift now into quieter spaces, the vast stretches between galaxies, between clusters of stars, between the bright islands of matter. These places seem empty at first glance, wide and hollow like breath held too long. But listen closely. Watch with a slower kind of sight. This emptiness is not truly empty. The nothing you float through carries a secret weight. Physicists call it the vacuum, a word that might suggest absence, but in truth holds more than you might imagine. Even the vacuum, even the dark, quiet spaces between all things, is alive with invisible threads. Energy flickers here, brief and bright, too small for the eye but too real to deny. Particles appear and vanish in pairs, born from nothing, swallowed by nothing, leaving behind ripples you cannot see but which shape the stage beneath you. These are called quantum fluctuations, tiny, momentary sparks of energy arising even where no light dares to shine. It is as if the fabric of space cannot help but tremble, even in stillness. As if silence itself hums softly beneath the song of creation. And this trembling, this quiet activity in the so-called void, gives birth to something larger, something stranger, a kind of pressure, a kind of pull, a kind of weight. Scientists name it dark energy, though it is neither dark nor easily understood. It fills the vacuum, stretches across the vastness, pushes on the fabric of space itself. It is this force, gentle yet unstoppable, that urges galaxies apart, sends them drifting from each other like leaves carried on invisible wind. You feel it now beneath you, around you, within the spaces you thought were empty. A soft, persistent pressure woven into the structure of reality. Not a gust, not a shove, something quieter. A slow exhale stretching the skin of the universe outward in all directions at once. Even here, in the calm between stars, you are carried by this unseen hand. You drift because space itself expands beneath you. Distances grow not because you move, but because the canvas stretches. Like dots on a balloon as it inflates, galaxies seem to race apart when in truth it is space itself that grows. And this growth? It happens everywhere. Not from a center, not from a corner, but from within the fabric itself. From within the vacuum, the so-called emptiness that proves not empty at all. What feels like nothing holds everything in its gentle grasp. The weight of the vacuum is not one you can feel in your bones. It does not press like gravity. It does not tug like wind. It moves instead through patience, through ages, through the soft persistence of expansion. Scientists measure its strength in small numbers, almost laughably faint compared to the forces you know, gravity, electromagnetism, the push of your hand against a table. Yet over billions of years, this faintness becomes mighty. Over distances measured in galaxies, its influence cannot be escaped. It shapes the future of all things. It decides whether the universe will stretch forever into thinness, or curl back into itself one distant day. You float here, between stars, between breaths, between the moments of thought. And still the vacuum carries you. Still it whispers beneath the silence. Emptiness is not empty. Even now, as you listen, as you wonder, virtual particles are born and gone within the space around you. Waves of potential rise and fall. And from this restless nothing, the universe takes its shape, its pace, its possible endings. You think of the spaces between atoms, the gaps between molecules, the hollows inside even the densest stone. These, too, are vacuums of a sort. These, too, hold the trembling energy of what might be, of what flickers unseen beneath the world you touch. The weight of nothing is everywhere. Beneath your feet. Between your breaths. Beneath the galaxies themselves. You begin to understand now how strange this universe truly is. How little is required to shape everything. How silence hums with forces no ear can hear, but every star obeys. What we call emptiness might be the deepest fullness of all. A fullness not of matter, but of possibility. A fullness that moves you even as you sleep, even as you dream your way through galaxies. And still you drift, softly, gently, toward the next question. Toward the next unseen shore. What is this strange energy that fills the vacuum? What secret purpose does it serve beneath the stars? You will float onward to listen. To wonder at the quiet weight of the invisible world. Chapter 5, The Pressure Beneath the Stars. Look up at the night sky, or rather, feel yourself looking, floating through the hush of space. The stars seem frozen, ancient, untouched by time. The galaxies seem content to hang quietly where they are, like beads of dew waiting on the edge of some great web. But this stillness is only an illusion. Beneath it all, a pressure hums. Not loud. Not fast. But steady, and patient, and everywhere. You are floating in something that moves even as it pretends not to move. Space itself is stretching, expanding beneath you. This pressure, this force without shape or sound, is the quiet architect of everything drifting apart. It is not the pressure you know from air against skin, or deep water pressing on lungs. It is not heavy. It does not squeeze. It is more like a breath the universe keeps taking, longer and longer, stretching the fabric of reality outward as it exhales across eternity. Scientists call it dark energy, though its nature remains wrapped in mystery. They measure its effect, not its cause. They watch galaxies slip further apart, not because of speed, not because of force in the way we usually think of force, but because space itself grows between them, inch by inch, light year by light year. You float through this invisible stretching now. Your body, your thoughts, the atoms that compose you, all are carried along on this silent tide. There is no resistance. No edge to catch hold of. Nothing to fight against. Space beneath you simply expands, like ripples moving outward without end. This pressure works on the largest scales. The spaces between galaxy clusters, the light traveling across billions of years. But it works, too, in ways more subtle, more delicate. It shapes the future of the cosmos. It determines whether stars will one day grow lonely in ever larger darkness, or whether some unknown balance might halt this endless drift. And so you drift with it. No effort. No destination. Just this quiet companionship with expansion itself. You might imagine space as a vast sheet stretched taut. Dark energy is the hand that keeps pulling gently at the corners, making the fabric thinner, smoother, broader. Not tearing it. Not breaking it. Simply stretching. Even light feels this. A photon leaving a distant galaxy billions of years ago carries a specific energy, a specific color. But as it crosses the expanding space, its light stretches too, redder, longer, softer. What begins as brilliant blue may arrive as faint red, worn thin by the journey. You are, in this moment, a companion to that light. Traveling through space that grows beneath you. Feeling nothing, yet carried by everything. Dark energy does not pull on you like gravity does. It does not push like wind or muscle. It simply exists, quietly altering the stage on which all things unfold. And in doing so, it shapes your story too, though you may never notice. Your atoms drift apart from others, infinitesimally, over eons. The Earth's path through the cosmos is a tiny line drawn across expanding paper. The night sky you see now is not the sky future generations will know. Galaxies will slip beyond the reach of sight, carried beyond the horizon of visibility by this pressure beneath the stars. What feels fixed is always changing. What seems still is always moving. Even silence expands beneath you. And yet, there is no need to hurry to understand. No need to chase answers faster than they wish to come. Tonight, you drift gently in the knowledge that space itself is growing, softly and without end. Dark energy remains one of the universe's most polite mysteries. It offers no violence. It demands no sacrifice. It does not burn or break or bend in any harsh way. It simply expands, 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 and we, and the stars, and the galaxies, go along with it. You begin to wonder, if space stretches forever, does forever have an edge? If galaxies slip beyond sight, where do they go, and what becomes of their light? These questions press softly against the mind, like water against the shore. Not demanding. Not urgent. Just present, waiting for thought to touch them. For now, you drift. The stars remain your gentle companions. The pressure beneath them remains your quiet guide. And somewhere ahead, the next question waits beneath the calm, expanding sky. Chapter 6, where light slows down. You float now beside something small, almost weightless, a single beam of light, stretched thin like a thread drawn across the dark. It feels fast, urgent, alive with purpose. But even light, in its speed, meets places where it must slow down. Not everything in this universe offers an open road. Sometimes, even light must pause. Imagine light passing through water. A sunbeam dips beneath the ocean's skin, and suddenly its race hesitates. Its pace falters. It bends, changes direction slightly, as though shyly adjusting to the thicker world it has entered. In glass, in diamond, in the transparent breath of air itself, light eases, slows, bends again. It's not because light is weak. It's because it is respectful. It listens to the rules of each material it touches. It adapts, moving a little slower through dense places, a little faster through emptier ones. In this way, light reminds you of something soft pressing gently through a crowded room, finding its path with patience. Scientists call this refraction, the slowing and bending of light as it travels through one medium into another. But you do not need the word tonight. You only need the image. Light moving like a careful visitor, always adjusting, always flowing forward even when slowed. And as light bends, so does time. Time, after all, is braided with light. Where light moves differently, time itself softens or stretches to meet it. In dense glass, in water, in atmosphere thick with clouds, the very rhythm of moments shifts by the faintest breath. You might imagine walking through fog. Your steps slow, your breath steadies, your sense of the world becomes quieter, smaller. Light feels something like this as it passes through places less clear, less open. It moves more gently, and time listens. Even inside your body, light is slowed. Your eyes gather photons that have already paused, already bent through cornea and lens, already whispered with the jelly of your eye before painting their final message on the canvas of your sight. What you see is not simply light's arrival, it is the record of its patient journey. A story told at the speed of whatever it has passed through. And so you drift beside it now, this slender beam. You follow it as it touches surfaces, slides through layers, finds new paths. You notice how every change slows it just a little. Bends it just a little. Changes its color, its warmth, its softness. This is not weakness. This is resilience. Light does not stop because the road grows thick. It simply adjusts, continues, learns the shape of every obstacle it must meet. And as you watch, you begin to wonder about your own paths. The places where you, too, have slowed. The moments when you bent to pass through something dense or difficult. The gentle truth that progress isn't always fast, and forward isn't always straight. Light teaches this without speaking. Its quiet detours remind you, slowness is not failure. Change is not defeat. Even delay holds beauty, holds purpose, holds its own kind of grace. Tonight, as you float alongside this beam, you feel no urgency. The speed of light is not yours to chase. Your rhythm is softer now, tuned to these gentle pauses, these patient curves. And you realize something else. Where light bends, rainbows are born. Where light slows, colors deepen. Where light changes its path, new beauty appears, prisms, halos, the soft spectrum painted on glass. Delay makes space for wonder. Even stars know this. Their light travels through cosmic clouds, through veils of gas and dust, arriving slower, softer, reshaped by the journeys it endures. And when it reaches you, it carries the memory of every place it paused, every place it bent. You breathe in this thought like a slow tide. You let it settle. Movement need not be constant. Progress need not be fast. Even the fastest thing we know pauses sometimes, and in those pauses, new shapes are born. And so you rest in this chapter of light's journey. You let yourself feel how the universe honors patience, honors change, honors the quiet ways of slowing down. Ahead of you, another question waits, soft and shimmering. If light can bend and slow, can time do the same? Chapter 7, When Time Bends. You followed light through its slowing paths, and now you arrive somewhere stranger still. Not a place of matter or space alone, but a place where something less visible begins to shift, the soft fabric of time itself. You've heard time described as steady, as ticking forward like footsteps on a path. But here, as you float quietly, watching the universe unfold, you see how time is anything but rigid. Time bends. Time stretches. Time listens to gravity the way light listens to glass. Imagine a deep well, its mouth wide, its depths hidden in shadow. Gravity pools there, thick and heavy like syrup. The closer you drift toward that depth, the more you feel time slow around you. A moment lengthens. A second stretches thin. The tick of any clock begins to hesitate. This is not science fiction. It is happening already, above you, below you, all around. Satellites must adjust their clocks because time runs differently in orbit than on Earth. Astronauts return having aged fractions less than those who stayed behind. The universe does not offer time in one flavor, one speed, one rhythm. It offers a tapestry of moments, stitched differently across distances and depths. And as you drift, you feel this truth settle into you. Your experience of time is tied to your position, your motion, your gravity. There is no single clock for the cosmos. Only many, ticking in harmony with the curves of space and the pull of mass. This might seem unsettling at first. But then you notice something gentle in it. Flexibility. Adaptation. Time meets the needs of where it is. It bends to fit the shape of space, just as water fills the shape of its container. And so, perhaps, you begin to wonder. If time can stretch and slow, can it also heal, soften, change its weight within us? The days that feel long, the years that pass too fast, are these not our own forms of gravity pulling at the thread of time? Tonight, you float in a place where seconds linger longer. You feel no rush. No hurry. Time here is thick, slow, forgiving. It lets you pause. It lets you wonder without end. And in this pause, you imagine deeper places still. Black holes, those dense knots of gravity so strong that even light cannot escape. What happens to time there? What happens to moments caught in such depth? Do they stretch forever? Do they stop? Or do they find some new rhythm, beyond our knowing? These questions do not demand answers tonight. They are seeds, soft and slow-growing, planted in the quiet soil of your thoughts. What matters now is the feeling, that time is not fixed. Not cruel. Not impatient. It bends when needed. It softens in places. It listens to the shape of space and adjusts its flow. You carry this thought with you as you drift onward. Ahead, another wonder waits, gentle and strange. You've seen how light slows. You've felt how time bends. Next, you will wonder, if gravity shapes time, how does it shape space itself? Chapter 8, The Curves Beneath Your Feet. Beneath your feet, space curves. Beneath your body, beneath the stars, beneath every step ever taken, there is no perfect flatness, no infinite plane stretching smooth and even. Space dips and rises like the gentle hills of a sleeping countryside. But these curves are not drawn by wind or water. They are shaped by mass, by gravity's soft pressure. A planet here, a star there, and space bows beneath their presence, as fabric sags beneath a weight laid upon it. Tonight, you move through this landscape without roads, without paths. You drift above it in the quiet of thought, watching how gravity shapes not just objects, but the very structure around them. This bending of space is not merely an idea. It is how planets hold moons close. How stars gather planets in quiet orbits. How galaxies spiral in graceful arms. Space curves beneath mass, and in that curve, movement finds its path. Einstein showed this, not with force pulling from afar, but with shapes, with bends, with curves unseen. Gravity is not a rope pulling you down. It is the shape space takes around something heavy. The earth beneath you is not pulling at your body like a hand grasping yours. Instead, the earth has curved the space beneath you, and you follow that curve naturally, as water flows downhill. You walk this curved space every day without noticing. When you look up and see the moon, its path looping around the earth, you are seeing curved space in motion. When you watch the sun set and rise, you are spinning through those curves yourself. Imagine it now, softly, a sheet stretched wide, with marbles resting upon it. A heavy marble in the center creates a dip. Smaller marbles roll toward it, drawn not by some mysterious force, but by the simple shape of the surface beneath them. This is space. This is how gravity works. And you, floating here in thought, begin to see how this hidden geometry shapes everything you know. Mountains rise not on flat land, but on a planet wrapped in gentle curves. Oceans gather in the hollows of these bends. Air clings to the softened surface, held close by the weight of mass pressing space into this shape. Even light cannot escape these curves. A beam traveling straight will arc, ever so slightly, around a massive star. To light, the shortest path bends with the space it travels through. You realize now how tender this is. How patient. The universe bends space softly, gently, shaping the orbits of planets, the clusters of galaxies, the streaming paths of comets. And yet these curves go deeper still. They whisper of black holes, where space curves so tightly around mass that it folds in upon itself. Where time slows to a near halt and the fabric of reality knots in ways beyond easy imagining. But here, where you float, the curves are wide and slow. The earth beneath you holds its shape quietly, cradling oceans and mountains, forests and fields. The moon above travels its wide, looping dance, following the gentle slope of space curved by Earth's mass. You wonder how far these curves reach. How the galaxies themselves might gather along vast valleys and ridges of space's unseen folds. How even the great cosmic web, threading the universe together, might be shaped by these quiet dips and rises. Gravity, you see, is not violent. Not harsh. It is the quiet hand shaping the soft clay of space, pressing here, lifting there, guiding worlds into circles and spirals and long, slow dances. And you, like every creature who ever lived, move through these curves without feeling them directly. You trust the ground beneath you, the sky above, never knowing how space itself holds you in its invisible arms. Tonight, you drift not just through space, but through understanding. You see now that gravity is not separate from space, it is its shape, its bend, its quiet song. You close your eyes, imagining the earth wrapped in its soft curve, the moon tracing its path, the sun pulling all of it into a wider orbit still. Curves within curves, shapes within shapes, all held together by this unseen geometry. And somewhere ahead, the curves grow stranger. Sharper. More profound. Beyond planets, beyond stars, there are folds deeper still. What happens, You wonder, when space bends so far it cannot return. When mass presses so heavily that space itself collapses inward. That question waits for you beyond this chapter. For now, you rest on these gentle slopes, feeling the universe hold you steady, softly curved beneath your feet. Chapter 9, where space folds into shadows. Somewhere far from where you now rest, space folds in on itself so tightly that even light cannot climb back out. These places are called black holes. But they are not holes at all, not in the way you think of holes in fabric or wood. They are folds, collapsed inward beyond return. Tonight, you float closer to one. Not in fear, not in haste, only with quiet curiosity, watching from the safe stillness of your imagination. The black hole does not shine. It does not call attention to itself with color or sound. It simply waits, wrapped in darkness, pulling space and time toward it like leaves spiraling into a hidden drain beneath still water. You cannot see inside. No one can. Beyond a certain invisible boundary, the event horizon, no signal, no light, no information escapes. The black hole keeps its secrets wrapped tight. Yet science lets you imagine what might unfold within. Mass gathers. Space folds. Time stretches thin. Gravity becomes not a force but a trap from which nothing returns. The deeper something falls, the slower time moves, until, at the center, time itself may stop altogether. These black holes are born from stars that once burned bright. Giants, collapsed under their own weight after exhausting their fuel. In their final breath, these stars squeeze themselves so small, so dense, that they tear a hole in the shape of space. Not an opening into somewhere else, simply a place where forward no longer exists. Around the black hole, matter swirls in brilliant disks, heated to extremes as it fights gravity's pull. Light bends strangely here, curving around the black hole's edge, caught in loops it cannot escape. To your eyes, from afar, these glowing rings seem to outline the darkness itself, giving shape to the unseen. And yet, this darkness is not empty. It is full of mass, of gravity, of space turned inward. Full of time stretched and folded until moments lose meaning. You drift closer in thought, watching how even the idea of closer begins to blur. Distances twist here. Paths loop in ways that no map could capture. Down becomes deeper than depth. In becomes deeper than inside. If you could pause at the event horizon, you would see time slow for everything falling in. A clock dropped toward the black hole would tick more slowly to your eyes, its hands nearly freezing as it approached the point of no return. But for the clock itself, time would feel unchanged, racing forward, pulled into the unknown. Inside, no one knows for certain what remains. Some say a singularity, a point of infinite density, where space and time collapse entirely. Others wonder if these folds of space might open elsewhere, connect somehow to distant parts of the universe, or even to others beyond imagining. But those are speculations. For now, what matters is this: black holes remind you that space is not flat. That gravity is not gentle everywhere. That there are places where the rules bend so far they break, and new truths must be written. These folds in space shape galaxies. At the heart of nearly every spiral, a supermassive black hole anchors the dance of billions of stars. What seems destructive from close is, on the largest scales, part of creation's balance. Without these centers, galaxies might drift apart, lose their graceful forms. You begin to see how even darkness serves a purpose. How even collapse becomes part of the larger pattern, shaping, guiding, holding vast systems together. And though you cannot visit a black hole, cannot peer beyond its veil, your mind travels there tonight. imagining the pull, the fold, the strange stillness where time stops. You feel both awe and comfort in knowing there are places untouched by light, where the universe's mysteries remain safe, wrapped in silence. Outside this folded space, the universe carries on. Stars are born. Planets turn. Light travels freely. But somewhere, these silent shadows mark the limits of understanding, the edges of what can be known. You let yourself drift back now, away from the pull, away from the impossible depths. You carry with you the knowledge that space folds in ways your senses cannot see, and that within those folds, gravity keeps writing its quiet, powerful story. Ahead lies more to ponder. If space can bend, if light can be trapped, if time can stretch, what does this mean for your place within it? What threads still connect you to the wider cosmos? That question lingers, soft and unanswered, as you prepare to journey onward. Chapter 10, The Slow Clock of Time Dilation. Time seems so simple, doesn't it? You wake, you sleep, you measure the passing hours by the light through your window. A second feels like a second. A year feels like a year. But here, as you float softly through the fabric of the universe, you begin to see time not as a constant, but as something supple. Something that bends. Something alive. Time is not separate from space. It is woven into it, like threads through cloth. Together, they make something deeper, space-time. And this space-time can stretch, compress, ripple, even pause. Tonight, you listen closely to how the universe keeps its time. Not with clocks, but with gravity and speed. Imagine you are drifting near a black hole again, as you did before. The closer you move toward its heart, the slower time will pass for you, at least compared to someone watching from far away. To them, your clock seems to almost stop. To you, nothing feels different. Seconds march on. But outside, years are leaping forward. This is time dilation. A slowing of time caused by gravity's deep pull. But gravity isn't the only thing that softens time's pace. Speed can do it too. The faster you move, the slower time flows for you. Einstein taught this, and experiments have proven it true. Astronauts who orbit Earth at great speed age just a tiny bit less than those who stay on the ground. The difference is small, but it is real. You are floating now in thought, imagining two twins. One stays on Earth. The other travels close to the speed of light for what feels like a year. When the traveler returns, perhaps only 1 year has passed for them, but many years for their sibling left behind. They are twins no longer. One is older. Time is not fixed. It depends on how you move, where you stand. It stretches like silk, delicate but certain. Even the light you see from distant galaxies tells this story. Some of it began its journey millions, even billions of years ago. Along the way, the expanding universe stretched the light's wavelength, lengthening its journey. That stretching is a kind of time dilation too, light pulled into longer waves, redder hues, slower rhythms. You begin to understand that clocks are only our way of measuring something deeper, more fluid. Beneath seconds and minutes and hours is a rhythm tied to the fabric of reality itself. And isn't that a gentle comfort? To know that time is not rushing away from you, but bending softly, responding to where you are, how you move. You are not separate from this great, slow dance. You are part of it. Picture time now as an ocean. In calm places, the water moves smoothly, evenly. But near great currents or deep whirlpools, it shifts. It slows. It twists. Gravity is like those deep places in the ocean. Speed is like the wind driving the waves. Together, they shape how time flows. What feels steady to you may not be steady to the stars. What seems brief to one traveler might stretch into lifetimes for another. And yet, through all this stretching and slowing, life continues. Hearts beat. Seasons change. Galaxies spin. Time's rhythms guide everything, even when they bend. You think now of your own moments, how some days seem to stretch long and soft, while others vanish like breath in cold air. Perhaps you are feeling, in your own small way, the pliability of time. Not through black holes or light-speed journeys, but through the quiet shifts of thought and feeling. Tonight, you are learning to trust this softness. To rest inside it. Time will carry you forward, always, but not in haste. Not in urgency. Like a river finding its slowest path, it winds through you, reshaping what you thought you knew. And tomorrow? Tomorrow you may find yourself wondering. If time stretches and slows, if clocks tick differently in different skies, then what does it mean to measure a life? To mark a moment? To feel an age? These questions wait ahead, soft as ripples, pulling you gently onward into what comes next. Chapter 11, Gravity's Soft, Relentless Hand. You have always known gravity by how it holds you down, the press of your body against the bed, the gentle pull that keeps you tethered to the earth. It seems so simple, so ordinary. A force beneath your feet, pulling you home. But tonight, as you float deeper into this soft exploration of the universe, you begin to feel gravity in a different way. Not as weight, but as connection. Not as force, but as thread. Gravity is the oldest companion of matter. It has been here since the first spark of time, shaping what could never shape itself. It pulled dust together to make stars. It gathered stars to make galaxies. It spun those galaxies like great, silent whirlpools in the endless sea of dark. Without gravity, there would be no orbits, no tides, no rising of suns. There would be no ground beneath your feet, no sky above your head. Everything would scatter, drifting alone into the cold dark without shape, without rhythm. And yet, gravity is gentle. It does not shout or tear. It works slowly, invisibly. It takes its time, centuries, millennia, eons, to do its work. A planet forms not in a moment, but in the patient gathering of dust upon dust, pulled together grain by gravity's unseen fingers. You picture now the earth beneath you, its oceans pressed close by gravity's hand, its mountains rooted deep against the sky's upward pull. The very air you breathe is held close, wrapped around the planet like a soft blanket. Without gravity, even breath would drift away. But gravity does more than hold things in place. It bends space itself. Like a heavy ball resting on a soft cloth, it curves the fabric beneath it. Planets follow these curves, falling gently forward in endless loops around their suns. Light itself bends to this shape, curving softly where gravity deepens. It is strange, isn't it? That light, so fast, so free, can be coaxed to bend by something as silent as gravity. You begin to see how nothing escapes its reach. Not light. Not time. Not even thought. Tonight, as you rest here in the quiet vastness of space, you notice how gravity shapes more than orbits. It shapes stories. It shapes beginnings and endings. Stars are born from clouds that collapse under their own weight. They die in explosions or in slow cooling, giving birth to new worlds in turn. Everything is held. Everything is gathered. Nothing is truly alone. Even your body, even now, carries the mark of gravity. Your bones are shaped by the need to stand against it. Your muscles grew to lift, to hold, to resist its pull. In space, where gravity weakens, muscles soften, bones thin. You are built for this force, sculpted by it every moment of your life. And yet, you rarely notice it. Gravity asks for no thanks, no attention. It simply works, quietly, constantly. Like breath. Like heartbeat. Like time. As you think of this, you wonder, where does gravity end? Does it fade? Does it vanish? Or does it stretch on forever, growing fainter but never gone? The truth is, gravity's hand is infinite. Even the most distant star feels its touch, however soft. Imagine now a black hole again, where gravity becomes something fierce, something absolute. There, its pull is so strong even light cannot escape. Time itself slows to a near stop. Gravity holds not just matter, but reality itself in its grasp. But here, where you are, gravity is a gentle guide. It carries you in quiet spirals through space, through life, through dreams. And perhaps this is why you can sleep so easily beneath its touch. You are held. You are anchored. Even as planets spin and stars burn and galaxies stretch away, you are part of something bound together by this soft, relentless hand. Tonight, gravity reminds you of belonging. Of connection. Of the unseen threads that tie everything together, from the smallest stone to the farthest light. And as you drift towards sleep, you begin to wonder, if gravity shapes the stars and bends the light, what shapes gravity itself? What secret weaves this invisible hand through the fabric of everything? These questions wait ahead, soft as breath, leading you onward into the next chapter's gentle unfolding. Chapter 12, The Curves Beneath Your Feet. You have spent your whole life walking on what feels like something flat. Roads stretch out before you, horizons seem straight, and the ground feels level beneath your steps. But now, in this quiet moment beneath the stars, you begin to sense something deeper. Something round, something curved, something beautifully patient beneath your feet. The earth is no flat plane. It is a sphere, soft-edged and slowly spinning in the dark. You do not feel the spin. You do not sense the curve. But both are there, silent companions to your every step. Why is Earth round? Not because someone shaped it so by hand, but because gravity prefers the curve. Left alone, gravity gathers things into spheres, planets, moons, even the smallest droplets of water. The roundness is natural. It is balance. Every point pulling inward equally, every surface pressing gently toward the center. You picture this now, your mind tracing the shape of oceans wrapped in blue around the earth, clouds drifting in soft bands along a curved sky. You imagine how astronauts see it, not flat, not wide, but fragile and floating, round and spinning against the darkness. Even the path you walk each day is a part of this curve. Though it feels straight, it bends softly with the Earth's shape. Every horizon hides a gentle slope, every sunset marks the turning of the sphere beneath you. You are always moving in circles, even when you stand still. Curves are everywhere, though we rarely notice. The moon in its orbit around Earth. The Earth in its orbit around the sun. The sun itself spinning within a galaxy that spirals in great looping arms. Nothing travels in perfect lines for long. Everything bends. Everything returns. This is not just the work of gravity but of nature's quiet preference for harmony. Straight lines break. Curves hold. They carry rivers to the sea, winds across deserts, light around the edges of planets. They bring things home again. Tonight, you rest in the cradle of these curves. The bed beneath you, the sky above, the ground beneath it all, each one part of a sphere, a circle, a path curved softly by invisible hands. And beyond this planet, the curves continue. Light itself bends under gravity's touch, following arcs through space, curving around stars, spiraling into black holes. Nothing escapes this shaping. Even time bends, soft as silk, where gravity deepens. You begin to wonder, what is it about curves that feel so natural, so safe? Perhaps it is because they speak of cycles, of returns, of no sharp endings. Day bends into night, night into dawn. Seasons curve from warmth to cold and back again. Life itself loops in rhythms, breath, heartbeat, thought. There is comfort in knowing this. That you are part of something curved, something complete. That even your small life moves along paths shaped long before you were born. And yet, there is still mystery. The earth spins, yes, but why? It curves, but what set it turning? What deep rhythm began this gentle dance of roundness and motion? These are questions for another night. For now, you close your eyes and feel the subtle pull beneath you. Gravity holds you close to the Earth's round heart. You are safe here, held by curves you cannot see but trust with every breath. As you drift toward dreams, the thought lingers, the universe itself is curved, expanding not in lines but in shapes that fold upon themselves. Galaxies loop. Time bends. Space curves softly outward, always and forever. Tomorrow, you will follow this curve outward, into the bending fabric of space itself. But for now, you rest in the quiet truth of circles beneath your feet, and the soft hands of gravity wrapping you in its endless, invisible embrace. Chapter 13, The Slow Stretch of Space. It feels, sometimes, as though everything around you is fixed, the sky unmoving, the ground beneath your feet steady and sure. But deep beneath this illusion of stillness, something vast and silent is unfolding. Space itself is stretching. Not with noise. Not with urgency. But with a quiet persistence that outpaces even light. The distances between galaxies grow, not because they are flying through space, but because space itself is expanding between them. Like ink dots on the surface of an inflating balloon, they drift apart as the fabric they rest on grows wider. You are part of this, too. Your body, your breath, your very thoughts float upon this stretching canvas. You cannot feel it. You cannot see it. But it carries you all the same, as surely as a wave carries a drifting leaf. Long ago, this expansion began in a burst of light and energy, the moment we now call the Big Bang. But it wasn't an explosion in space. It was the birth of space itself, unfolding from a single point into the vastness we now know. And ever since, space has continued to swell outward, like a deep, slow breath that has never been fully exhaled. The galaxies did not choose this drifting. They are carried by it. As the fabric of space stretches, so too does the distance between clusters of stars. Light from far-off galaxies grows faint and red, stretched thin by the widening gap. This is how we know the universe is expanding, not by watching things fly away, but by seeing how their light is drawn out across the growing void. Imagine this space as a soft fabric beneath you, woven of something finer than any thread. You are stitched into it, gently pulled along as it expands. There is no edge to this fabric, no center from which it grows. It stretches everywhere, in every direction, all at once. And still it stretches. Quietly. Patiently. Without end. Even the spaces between atoms feel this slow pull, though gravity holds them tightly enough that they cannot drift apart. On the grand scale of galaxies, however, the stretch wins. Gravity gathers stars into clusters, but space tugs those clusters apart, inch by silent inch, light year by light year. This stretching carries with it a strange kind of peace. You need do nothing to be part of it. You float within this expanding sea, held gently by forces older and greater than you can imagine. The stars above you tonight seem still, but they ride this widening wave just as you do. In time, perhaps, the stretching will continue until distant galaxies slip beyond sight entirely, their light stretched too thin to reach us. The night sky will grow quieter, emptier. But this is not something to fear. It is simply the nature of space, to stretch, to widen, to carry all things outward like seeds on the wind. Tonight, as you rest, let yourself imagine this slow unfolding. Picture the spaces between the stars growing wider, like ripples on a vast, dark pond. Picture yourself drifting with them, weightless, timeless, carried by something too large to hold but gentle enough to cradle you through sleep. And if you listen closely, not with your ears but with the quiet part of your mind, you might sense the rhythm beneath it all. The slow, steady breath of the cosmos, expanding softly into the unknown. Tomorrow, you will follow this breath farther still, into the question of what fills this ever-growing space. But for now, you rest within it, safe and small beneath the stretching sky. And so you drift, carried by the quiet swell of space, floating onward toward the next soft wonder waiting beyond the curve of night. Chapter 14, The Weight of Nothing. You have felt gravity's pull before. The way your body sinks softly into the mattress beneath you, the quiet ache in your muscles after a long day holding yourself upright. Gravity is weight, and weight feels familiar. It anchors you. It defines you. But tonight, you drift beyond the reach of ordinary weight, into a question more delicate, more peculiar. What fills the spaces between the galaxies? What pushes them apart so steadily, so silently, across the black seas of the universe? It is not emptiness that stretches space. It is something, though no hand can hold it, no eye can see it. Scientists call it dark energy, though even the name admits mystery. It is called dark not because it hides in shadow, but because we cannot see it directly, cannot touch it, cannot yet fully understand what it is. And yet, it moves everything. Imagine now you are floating between galaxies, in a place so vast and empty it feels like pure nothingness. But nothingness is not truly empty. Beneath the silence, beneath the vacuum, something hums. Something expands. Something presses outward on the very shape of space itself. Dark energy is not a wind. It does not blow. It does not surge or rush. It is quiet, steady, patient. It seeps through the fabric of space, like warmth through a blanket, stretching everything gently, endlessly outward. Where gravity pulls things together, dark energy does the opposite. It urges them apart. Without it, the universe's expansion might have slowed, might have collapsed back upon itself in some distant age. But dark energy ensures the opposite. Faster and faster, the galaxies retreat from one another, carried not by momentum but by the growing fabric beneath them. You cannot feel this pressure on your skin, cannot measure it with your breath. And yet, your body rides this expansion all the same. Every star you have ever seen drifts within its influence. Every world turns beneath its silent hand. How strange it is, to think that most of the universe, nearly 70% of all that exists, is made of this unseen force. Not matter. Not light. Not gravity. But something deeper, more diffuse, spread evenly through the void. A kind of invisible breath, filling even the darkest corners with its soft persistence. And stranger still, it is not just the space between galaxies it fills. It touches everywhere, even here, even now. Between the atoms in your hand. Between the moments in your thoughts. A presence without mass, without shape, and yet impossibly vast. Scientists do not know what dark energy is. They measure its effects, trace its outlines in the patterns of ancient light, infer its existence through the ways galaxies behave. But its true nature remains elusive, wrapped in questions, wrapped in silence. Perhaps this is part of its lesson. That not all forces reveal themselves in boldness. Some shape worlds without ever stepping into the light. Some shape you, quietly, invisibly, with a touch you never notice. As you lie here, let yourself imagine this gentle force all around you. Not a storm, not a struggle, but a soft, patient unfolding. Picture the galaxies moving apart like petals opening in slow motion, guided by hands unseen. You are part of this. Your life, your dreams, your small corner of the cosmos, all moving within the great breath of dark energy, stretching outward into the deep. And as the universe grows, so too does your understanding. What feels like nothing may hold everything. What feels still may carry within it the seeds of infinite change. Tomorrow, you will float deeper into this mystery, wondering what becomes of light when even space itself cannot hold it close. But for tonight, you rest here, cradled in the soft weight of nothing, drifting quietly between what is known and what waits to be discovered. Chapter 15, The Horizon That Always Escapes. Imagine you are drifting again, floating softly in space where silence presses in from every direction. Ahead of you stretches the black ocean of the cosmos, jeweled with distant galaxies like scattered lights across an endless night. Some of them seem close. Some feel impossibly far. But all of them are moving, carried gently, relentlessly outward. And there, at the farthest reaches of your imagination, is something peculiar. Not a wall, not a fence, but a kind of horizon. A boundary you cannot touch, cannot cross. It moves as you move, receding as you approach, slipping forever just out of reach. This is called the cosmic horizon, the invisible line where the expansion of space itself outpaces even the fastest traveler. Beyond this edge, light will never reach you. No ship can follow. No message can return. Those galaxies are not simply far away, they are being carried beyond the possibility of contact, stretched away by the growing fabric of space faster than light can chase them. It is a strange kind of boundary, made not of matter but of motion, not of walls but of time itself unfolding. It exists because space expands faster the farther you go. Here, close to your little corner of the universe, the stars drift apart slowly, like leaves on a gentle pond. But out there, at distances so vast numbers begin to lose meaning, expansion becomes a force beyond comprehension, carrying whole galaxies away as if on a river widening endlessly. You cannot feel this stretching. It does not tug at your skin or bend your bones. Yet it reshapes the map of reality beneath your feet. The horizon is not fixed. It grows. It swells. And with it, whole regions of the cosmos slip beyond what will ever be known. Even now, as you lie still and quiet, this horizon changes. Some galaxies you could have seen 1 billion years ago are already lost. Their light still races toward you across the dark, but beyond a certain point, even that light cannot keep pace with expansion. What lies beyond? More galaxies. More stars. Perhaps more wonders than anyone has ever dreamed. But to you, they are gone. Not hidden behind distance alone, but behind the speed at which space itself unravels. Think of it like this: you stand on the shore, watching ships sail away into fog. You can wave, you can shout, but after a time, the fog thickens, and the ocean widens. The ships sail on where your eyes cannot follow. Not because they have vanished, but because the sea between you has grown too wide. So it is with the universe. The sea of space itself expands, and some ships, some galaxies, cross the horizon, never to return. This idea hums with both beauty and sadness. Its distance, light itself cannot keep up. It stretches and weakens, pulled thin by the expansion of space until its waves grow too long to be seen, too faint to be caught. Eventually, even the faintest glow vanishes. And what remains? Silence. A silence deeper than any ocean, older than any stone. A silence where light, the fastest messenger in the universe, can no longer speak. This is not simply a place of darkness. It is a place where distance itself becomes so wide, so stretched, that communication dissolves. Not because it was silenced, but because it cannot reach. Scientists call this realm beyond light's reach the cosmic event horizon. Beyond it, galaxies still spin, stars still burn, but none of their light will ever touch you again. They slip into a silence that is not death, but separation. A soft closing of the door between here and there. Imagine calling out across a canyon so wide, your voice fades before it crosses. Imagine a wave rising, but the shore it aims for recedes faster than the wave can move. This is the silence beyond light, not absence, but inaccessibility. The sounds are there, the lights are there. But they cannot arrive. And so this silence grows. Every second, more galaxies slip beyond this edge. The universe is not shrinking. It is expanding too fast for light to catch up. Every moment, the silence beyond becomes larger, swallowing more sky, pulling the fabric of reality apart with quiet hands. You lie still beneath this invisible horizon, and wonder, what does it mean, this silence? Is it loneliness? Or is it simply the nature of things to move beyond reach, to retreat into distances so vast they no longer belong to your world? In this silence, your thoughts float. You imagine the stars beyond, still shining, still warm, unaware that their light can never come to you. You imagine galaxies blooming like flowers in the dark, their beauty untouched by your gaze. They exist. They continue. But they do so now without your knowing. This is not emptiness. It is not a void. It is a reminder, the universe holds more than you can ever see, more than you can ever hear. It humbles you, this thought. It soothes you, too. Because in this silence is a kind of peace, a knowing that not all things are meant for you. Not all things will reach you. And that is perfectly, quietly, beautifully fine. Here, beyond light's reach, you begin to let go. Not of wonder. Not of curiosity. But of the need to see everything, to hear everything. Some stories are written in rooms you will never enter. Some songs play on radios you will never tune. Yet they still play. They still unfold. And so you float in this gentle night, where silence hums softly, where light no longer travels, where time begins to stretch and yawn like a tired creature settling down. Ahead, beyond even this silence, there are questions waiting. Not about what you can see, but about what remains unseen, untouched, and eternal. And as you drift quietly toward those questions, the universe breathes around you, holding its silence like a secret still untold. Chapter 17, The Shape of Time Itself. You drift now through something stranger than space alone. You drift through time, though not in the way you once imagined it, not as a silent river flowing in one direction without pause. Here, time feels different. It stretches. It curves. It waits. Your body moves forward, but so does the clock inside you. And yet, somewhere else, a different clock ticks at a slower beat. A clock deep beneath a mountain, or one spinning wildly aboard a ship near the edge of a black hole. Clocks are not absolute here. Time does not march the same for all. This is one of the universe's softest secrets: time is shaped. It bends beneath weight. It stretches beneath speed. It curls gently around the pull of massive things. Like fabric drawn down beneath the stone of a heavy planet, space itself warps. And where space bends, time bends with it. You picture it now, a soft, invisible net beneath you, dipping here, stretching there. Planets make hollows, stars make valleys. Black holes tear great wells into its weave. Light must follow these curves. And time, like light, cannot help but obey. This is why astronauts age slower when they travel fast. This is why time moves differently on mountaintops and in valleys. Time itself is woven into the shape of space, and space is never still. In this thought, you feel small. But not in a frightening way. Small like a single note in a long, gentle song. You are part of this fabric. Your heartbeat, your breath, your memories, they follow the paths time offers. You are shaped by the same curves as the stars. Imagine walking in a circle, thinking you are moving forward. Imagine time doing the same, looping gently, softly folding back upon itself somewhere beyond your reach. Some physicists wonder, could time allow itself to twist this way? Could the universe curl back in on itself, letting past and future touch? For now, you float through the more familiar bends, the slow stretching near heavy planets, the quiet tilts of hours that do not match in every place. But beyond you, beyond this soft understanding, there may be deeper shapes still, spirals of time, closed loops, endless returns. You begin to think of time less as a road, more as a sea. A wide, shifting ocean with hidden currents. Some shallow and fast, some deep and slow. You float upon its surface now, but wonder what depths lie beneath. In your stillness, you remember something: time feels fastest when you are happiest. Slowest when you are waiting. This is not illusion. Your body feels time differently because your body is part of time's shape too. Your thoughts, your senses, your heartbeats, they are small clocks running alongside the great cosmic ones. Even now, as you drift, your body whispers to you, this is slow. This is gentle. This is safe. Time here is stretched, softened, slowed. Let yourself sink into it. Let the moments unfold like petals, without hurry, without force. You wonder if somewhere far ahead, there is a place where time stops altogether. A horizon where clocks freeze. Where nothing changes, not even thought. Science suggests such places exist, beyond black holes, perhaps, or in the earliest moments before the first stars. But you are not there. You are here, in this floating quiet, feeling time as a soft breeze against your skin. Knowing it can bend. Knowing it can warp. But trusting that it will carry you onward, gently, wherever this journey leads. And as the moments stretch wider between your thoughts, as your breath grows slower still, you feel time opening beneath you like a door. Beyond this door, something waits. Not in a rush. Not demanding answers. Just waiting. Waiting in the soft, curved folds where time and space meet, and something older than both holds its breath.